My name is Samantha Jayne and you are watching The Angel and the Exorcist show.
And today we'll be talking about divorce house syndrome. So for those of you who don't know what it is, stick around and we will explain all. So Sam, recently I believe you were involved in the national newspapers for something in what we're talking about today. So do you want to explain a little bit more about what happened?
Yeah, I was approached by the Daily Mail because they were interested in this concept of divorce, what we call divorce house syndrome. Not that they knew it was called that, but they do now. But it's basically, it's where it's not haunting, it's not ghosts, it's not that kind of thing.
Yeah.
What it is it's where there's been so many experiences go on within a property that the emotion and the energy of the experience has been absorbed by the property itself. And therefore it sits there and it kind of projects that energy, that emotion back into the room, back into the environment.
Yeah.
So if you then move into a house where there's been a lot go on, say, you can be affected by it because you start to absorb that emotion and energy by living and breathing it in your daily life.
I think the important thing is that, you know, these cases aren't, you know, they don't come round that often.
No.
So I just want to assure everybody that's, you know, don't go checking your houses for, you know, for divorce house syndrome, because most people live in a good energy, in a good environment. And obviously, you know, the clue's in the question, divorce house syndrome. So if there is a divorce or there is something that creates a negative boundary within the house, you are going to attract that energy back. And in my experience, and I've done quite a few where people can't sell their house.
Yeah, I've been called in for that.
And they are, for whatever reason, they can tidy it up, they can, you know, make it look pretty. But the minute people walk through that door, there's just something that just says, don't go any further.
Yeah, and that was the case that I was interviewed about, and we will share the link to that.
Yeah.
I was one of a number of people interviewed, but you know, I travelled down to Devon because Karen had bought her house. It had been empty it'd been for sale for a year, which obviously worked in her favour as the new buyer, but she knew from day one that there was just something about it.
Yeah.
And it was like, when I got there, I would describe it as like a heaviness.
Mm-hmm.
It felt very heavy, not a joy, no sort of high vibe joy energy, at that kind of heavy energy. And then what happened within a matter of weeks, to be honest with you, her son's behaviour started to change massively.
Right.
And he became very, very argumentative. And what it turned out to be was that there had been a divorce. I can't remember which party had had the affair. Yeah. But so there'd been all of that hurt and that upset. But also, I believe one of them had refused to leave the house. Yeah. And I think the room that the new child's bedroom was that person's bedroom. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah, it does. Right. But yeah, so it was just, he was soaking all that. You think when you're asleep and you open up, we all open up naturally when we're asleep. So of course you're gonna absorb.
You are going to absorb, and I often wonder with new builds as well, because you're going into like you know, a clean area, if you like. But I always look at what, you know, what it's built on, what land it's built on.
I get called to more new build than I do old build. This was new build, but yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny, isn't it? Because you would think that would be a clean state for people to move in, but I normally find that very rarely I get called to an old house. Yeah. It's normally from houses from 1980s, 1990s onwards. Very rarely do you come across the older properties. Yeah. But it's kind of a trend that divorce is now, you know, can't get on, let's just divorce rather than work through it. It's kind of the thing.
Yeah, we're a disposable society,
we are.
Aren't we? Even in love. Yeah.
And when those emotions get soaked up and then the house is sold, I've been to properties where you actually will communicate the house. I don't want this I don't want this sale. I don't want new owners. And you kind of have to explain that, you know, new owners are going to come in, they're going to sort of paint you, they're going to redecorate you, they're going to make you feel great again, you know, so you can feel loved again, because all you've known is negative energies. So let somebody come in, and it is crazy, it does sound crazy, but you are, you know, everything has a consciousness. You know, this has consciousness, you know, we all have consciousness, even a rock has consciousness. So everything is aware and can take on energy, and you can communicate with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you can do that with a house, and people have said, oh, you know, that's crazy, you can't communicate. I said, okay, then we'll have a little experiment. I did it with a friend of mine, and he actually came with me, and I said, we'll probably give it 3 weeks, and I bet the house sells in 3 weeks. Right? I was out by 1 day. Owner phoned me and she went, you were wrong, Paul. What's that? She went, it wasn't 3 weeks, we sold it this morning. And I said to my friend, how do you explain that?
Yeah.
And he said, I can't explain it. He said, but eventually our house will sell.
Yeah.
I said, okay, but we could go on and on and on. You know, there's a guy called Adrian Webber who used to be an estate agent.
Yeah.
And he then gave up his work as an estate agent. He's the guy who came up with the terminology, divorce house syndrome.
Yeah. And
I've worked for Adrian quite a bit. And he found by walking into different rooms that you can change energy by dowsing and, you know, pendulums and all that kind of stuff to help sell the property.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would advise, if you are struggling to sell a property, to look beyond, you know, is it at the right price, is it the right location, what they say, location. You know, it's about the vibe. But, you know, people don't realise that they are aware of energy. And I was having a conversation recently about that there's a lot of language used in just general life. So, for example, you can walk into a room and go, God, you could cut the atmosphere in here with a knife.
Yeah.
So if you can, you know, so that transfers over to when you're viewing a property.
Yeah, it does.
You are going to, whether you're aware enough to translate what you're picking up or not, you're still going to feel that impact of the energy that you walk into. That's why we know when we walk into a loving family home.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, we can know when we walk into a bachelor pad, sorry bachelors, and then it's not just to do with the fact that you can't see the floor or the sink or the the stuff.
You must have been to my house in the previous life.
But it is about, you know, it's that energy.
Yeah, and I get it, because when I was younger, and we didn't move around that often, but when you go to other people's houses, it's always very difficult to sleep. You're in a new environment. But as you say earlier, when you're asleep, it's your body is adjusting to that. And I never ever could, like, I don't like going on holiday. And people go, you're crazy, why do you like going on holidays? Because I just can never settle in an environment for a week and then I'm coming out of it again.
Yeah.
I find it very difficult, because I'm quite open as a person. And a lot of the time, if we go to sort of, you know, holiday parks or whatever, and you go into these, you know, great big caravans with all the mod cons in them, they might have been cleaned and they might look sparkly and lovely, but if you've had a family in it who probably weren't the nicest or argumentative or whatever a week before or 2 weeks before, 3 weeks before, I walk in and go, I've got to clear this, nobody else comes in until I've done my stuff. So it's go work around.
But can you imagine it?
Can I come in yet, Dad? No, wait. It's like, you know, and people go, what is that man doing? I'm going to be next door for him for a whole week. I'll do your house as well. Yeah, crazy as it sounds.
Yeah, I do say that is the thing with hotel rooms. You think it's beautiful to go and stay in a very old hotel and all the rest of it. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
But you think how many people have slept in that bed, energetically at least.
Go around.
No, you don't want to go there, really. You would be pulling up at a hotel with your own mattress.
Sleep in a night suit.
Definitely.
But it's because we can't see it. You know, therefore it doesn't exist to a lot of people.
Yeah, and that's okay.
And that's fine. Yeah. But for those who do sort of tuning to those frequencies, it can be a pain, because if you want to move on with your life and you want to sell your house and you cannot, it stops everything, and that can create so many problems.
Yeah, exactly.
And the frustration out of not being able to sell your house, you can just feel it. We looked at, before we moved to this area, we looked at 32 properties.
Wow, you're an estate agent's nightmare.
Yeah, I know, well I am. But the 32nd property I walked into, and we're still there now, that's like 12 years later.
I have to look up the numerology on 32.
Yeah, 32.
So when you go in and you're working with a divorce house, as we call it, what do you do?
The first thing I do, I always do, is once I've spoken to the owner, I will go upstairs to the furthest bedroom.
Yeah.
Okay, because that is the one that normally causes the problems, the energy that's seeping.
Furthest left.
Yeah,
to the
furthest left.
Yeah.
Once in there, I'll measure the room either with a pendulum or dowsing rods.
So I was thinking about, show me how you use the dowsing rod then to measure.
Yeah, sure. So we're in our property. It's our property.
Yeah.
And the good response that you want, I will always start off with it here, because that's the 0.
Yeah.
So what you want is to measure the energy in the room. So this is just measuring the energy in the room. Now my hand isn't moving, right? So I'd say here's about 2.5. So I'll ask it to go back. So we'll go back to source. So I've moved that back. So that's what you do. So every room you go into, bump, and it will measure. So when it goes to here, I'm moving it this time. So if it's going to here, and normally when you're going into properties with divorce house syndrome, it will be an 8, a 9. If it's a 10, then you really got your work out. Most people run away at that point, but not me. So yeah, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a high reading to start off with, but once you've done your work, then you come back and do it again, and you want it then to be as close to your arm as possible, to like a 0 or 1. So that's how you use dowsing rods. They come in lots of different shapes and sizes. I always use the larger ones because they give a better reading.
Okay.
And copper normally is the best.
Copper.
You can feel it, but I need confirmation.
Right.
And I'll write down the numbers.
You want a visual.
Yeah. And normally the owners will come round with you.
Okay.
And I'll say, okay, if they want to come round, sometimes they don't. If they want to come round, I'll go, okay, hold the dowsing rod, but don't run off. And it will go. I'll say, right, that is like a 9. We want it as close to here as possible.
Yeah.
So when the whole of upstairs is balanced, then you do the stairs. Bathrooms are the hardest because of everybody loses their energy in the bathroom. Yeah.
Is that the right word? Yeah.
Or elemental water energy can get trapped a lot.
Yeah.
Stairs, people don't think to do stairs.
Put so
but
much
the
energy going up and down.
You run up and down the stairs if you're late, or the stress that goes up and down stairs is unbelievable. And also the front door, I normally put like an energy shower, like an energy shower. So people walk in and out, they're cleansing themselves. So I'll set that up. Because everybody who comes in to view the property, they're leaving their energy there as well. So it's got to go. And then work through last one, kitchen, and also do the driveway and the perimeter of the house as well. A lot of people forget that because they think once you're inside it's fine, but the outside as well. If you're driving up the road to the property, you're like this. You want to look, and if the energy coming off that is rubbish, you're not even going to want to go into that, probably even go on the driveway. So it's about it's doing a full cleanse of a house. When you did this job in Devon, because Devon's got the energy in Devon is crazy. Yeah. How was that going up to this house that you were going to work on for you?
It was like a house in the middle of, kind of in the middle of a housing estate, so lots of new build, but very close to water.
Right.
And so lots of people, lots of energy around it, and of course it is in a holiday place as well. So that has a different vibe in itself. So it was such a dramatic change energetically and the atmosphere from when you were outside the property to inside the property.
Yeah.
Because it instantly lost that family and good time feel when you walked into it. I mean, the property was very light and airy in that sense. Lots of sunlight. It's not like dark and dingy, you know, like we would associate. None of that. But it was just, you know, such a contrast to everywhere else around it.
Yeah.
You know, which just kind of shows you energy like that. It is absolutely that, because it's contained.
Yeah.
I didn't rack up and say, oh no, this is a ley line. I mean, we've been playing today with the compasses in here because the ley lines in here are insane.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
But it's not that, because there was none of it outside that property. It was all in the property. So it's what I call a man-made energy.
Yeah. So how did you solve the problem?
I, again, like yourself,
Yeah.
top left. I mean, this was a 3-story, so a lot of work to do. I don't do the room. We'd identified the room and the issue.
Yeah.
But I don't just do that room, and that wasn't that first room either.
Yeah.
So I still, like you, do that process of clearing and smudging.
Yeah.
And then bringing all of that down. I bring everything down and through and out.
Right.
And shift, and then I go back in and energize and bless.
Yeah. Can I just, for people watching who don't know what smudging is, could you explain what smudging is?
Smudging is when you burn an incense stick, or was called a smudge stick, really.
Yeah.
And it lets off a smoke. You can I actually have a free webinar people can watch. I'll share that link below. But it's where you smudge to purify the energy in a property, or even I smudge myself.
Yeah.
When I'm feeling a bit, you know. But it's basically a sage. You burn it, you blow it out, if you get what I mean. So you've not got this burning bush, yeah. And then you blow it out so that the smoke is what shifts the energy and comes through. So, I don't know about you, but what I thought I would just quickly share is one of the things that I do in my own home and my business premises is I regularly re-smudge, re-cleanse. And often I don't go around doing the whole property like I would to create a happy home, as I call it. I will often simply just burn like this in an oil burner.
So what is that you're
This
burning?
one is actually something called mugwort.
Okay.
Which is, again, a sort of type of sage, if you like. So we just get it. Yeah. I mean, the Red Indians did all of this.
Yeah.
And they still do. I said that as if they're extinct then, didn't I? But, which they're not, before we get any abrupt answer. Yeah. So what we're after is the smoke, not the flame.
Yeah.
And then I just let that... I love the smell.
Yeah, it's a nice smell.
It's very rare that someone doesn't like it. I pay attention to someone. If someone comes in who doesn't like it, I pay attention. It could speak volumes about who you've let in your home.
That's quite...
I love how it's coming to you though, Paul. Do we need to clear you today? But that is what we're looking for, is that smoke.
Right. Cool.
Shall I move that before you get absolutely smoked out?
That's right. It's probably still going to come to us.
We'll let that. This will be interesting. Yeah.
What we were saying this morning.
But yeah. But there you go. That's how to just do some maintenance. Just routinely get in the habit.
Yeah.
Of lighting a sage stick or some sage incense sticks,
and,
or like me, you may want to do the loose leaf mugwort.
And obviously, you know, when people are going to burn sage. How long do you just do it until you've done the property?
The smoke goes out.
Okay, so
if I'm doing a whole property, then often we'll have to relight it.
Yes,
but for that,
just for maintenance,
just
in your
from
home.
A maintenance point of view, I mean, I use it as an indicator of how much it needs to be done.
Oh right. Okay.
And so that's just amused me, because I know that you and I have had a very heavy week in the clearing industry.
Yes, we have.
So that shouldn't have come as any surprise.
No.
We are in sunny Swindon.
Sunny?
Well, soggy
Swindon.
Swindon today. But yeah. I just let it run its natural course in terms
Yeah.
of the smoke and the burn.
I love the smell. It's really
Mugwort is very potent. Yeah, you can use that for if you sleep with it. It will get you to leave the body.
Oh, bit of an OBE.
Yeah, if you want to do that, we'll do a whole other show.
Yeah, another one.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does make sense.
Yeah.
So I challenge any skeptics out there, you know, on the property programs when they say, you're always talking about feeling going into the property. So why is that? Now, why is it that the TV presenters, the property experts will always go in and talk about feeling the property? So that would be my question to you skeptics. What do you think is the explanation behind that?
Well, that is the end of the show. We hope you have enjoyed it, and as always, I'm going to ask you to hit like, feel free to drop a comment, and of course hit subscribe and ring that all important bell so you know when the next episode comes out.